So we're social creatures, right? And for us with social anxiety and avoidant personality, it's a little bit more difficult because we're having to work through things in order to get to that point where we are social, where we can be social. And for better or for worse, we each tell each other who we are by the feedback that we give, our body language, direct words that we say to each other, all of that. People tell us who we are with how they interact with us. And in the same way, we tell other people who they are by the way that we interact with them. So keep that in mind because we always want to be, in my opinion, uplifting and encouraging people and not creating triggers for them. A lot of the times triggers can be made by people we know, but a lot of the times triggers can be made by complete strangers, people we don't know. We really don't know each other's psychological makeup until we really get to know somebody. But if we're not, I don't want to say spreading positivity because life isn't all, roses and cupcakes. Love cupcakes. But if we're not encouraging and uplifting other people, we may very well create triggers in them. We may pass on the triggers that we have to them, and that's not cool. We want to be able to be a agent of change and be an uplifting force for other people and uplift them and maybe break their triggers. So that's kind of my intro. Thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Steven, the socially awkward cub, and I'm walking with you through this journey of avoidant personality, social anxiety, social phobia, generalized anxiety. We've got it. We're dealing with it, and I'm walking this path with you and offering you a perspective on what my journey has been like. And today I want to talk to you about triggers, emotional triggers, and how do we deal with and work through emotional triggers. A lot of my triggers were formed by people that I knew pretty well, family members. I remember things from my older brothers either ignoring me and kind of making me feel like I wasn't worth hanging out with, to things more extreme like telling me I have no style when I would get their hand-me-down clothes and be wearing them, but kind of in oversized clothing. One of my brothers was 10 years older than I was, and I'd get all of his oversized jeans and oversized shirts. We didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have my own clothes. I got his clothes. And to hear that from him after I was kind of copying and mimicking his style sucked. So today, even today, I feel like my style could use an upgrade, or that I don't really have a style, or that the style is not my own. That brother in particular had also said things about my hair. I hate my hair. To this day, I hate my hair. I just got a haircut. It's nice. It's kind of nice. I missed the long hair, and I feel like I'm balding at a rapid pace here the older I get. 33, but still. Shoot, it was really long right before I got this cut. But he said something to me about there's nothing you can do with your hair. So we were playing with hair product in my hair, and there's nothing you can do with your hair. So then from that point forward, I'm like, I have nothing I can do with my hair. I don't have style. I don't have this. I don't have that. Okay. But not just siblings and family members, peers at school. So I was a victim of crazy bullying, and it's weird from a Catholic grade school that would be happening. And maybe you had the same experience. Where are all my Catholic school friends out there, or viewers? If you've had experiences in Catholic school that seem to be worse than your friends in public school, I'd love to hear about that. So let me know in the comments. But yeah, Catholic school, people would say things like, at the time, Gaylord and fag were super insults, and they still are, which is weird because I can listen to an Eminem album and not get offended. But anyway, they would say those things, and I would hear about them. They'd either say to my face or it would be through the grapevine, and that played a huge part in forming my identity. I don't even think I knew what those words meant necessarily before I started hearing them, and then I may have gone on the internet and looked them up and saw things that I didn't necessarily want to see, and whole other story there. But those things were triggers, and so and they would also make fun of me with my weight. I was a fat kid, and so I get poor body image, poor self-esteem, poor all that stuff. So today I work out, but I'm wondering, okay, am I working out because I'm just super insecure with my body, and does that stem from childhood trauma, or do I strictly just want to be healthy? Maybe a mix of both, but triggers, right? So if somebody today comments on my weight or my image or somebody else's weight and image, that triggers me because I'm like, why would you comment on somebody's physical appearance? It's just such a low thing. let's lift each other up. That's, again, super huge fan of bringing people up instead of tearing them down, because words are super powerful, and I think that's how we form a lot of our triggers. I've got my notes here, so in case I start babbling, I'm going to refer to these. Words can really have that negative impact, negative or positive, again, for better or for worse. Words have an impact on our formation of our own identity. When we hear something or say something, or when an action is taken toward us that makes us feel insecure, brings down our self-esteem, that, and depending on the age that happens, that can be such a super detrimental thing, that it's kind of just part of our everyday life. And maybe it might not be something that everybody around us is dealing with, so we might not know that they're particularly triggerful for us, that they're our triggers. And we just kind of assume that, maybe other people are dealing with this too, or maybe we're ashamed and we think, oh, those are my triggers, or those are my insecurities now. Does everybody see those insecurities? And so for me, it was, okay, I have these insecurities to a point where I just retreat and I'm alone by myself in my head, and I don't want to get out of that space because it's safe. And what sucks is, at that point, I don't have the social interaction, the social engagement with people. Therefore, my identity formation kind of suffers, because the thought that I presented at the beginning is, we're telling each other who we are. If we're not getting that, if we're not interacting socially with people in a positive way or at all, that's going to impact the formation on our identity. And it's crappy. It really is crappy. So, again, for me, it was constantly feeling like an outsider and feeling like I didn't belong and feeling outside of my skin, so to speak. And I even my name is a trigger. It's kind of funny. I don't really like my name. I see the name and I'm like, how would I view myself if my name was differently? And that goes for all the other triggers. How would I view myself if I was skinnier, if I was more fit, if I had more of a style, if my hair didn't look so crummy? Those things impact and last with us, and it's important that we work through those things in order to be able to function and have fulfilling lives, and to socialize more. Because I think that people like us, when we go through emotional challenges, social challenges, mental health challenges, that can be such a force for good if we learn how to take that pain and that hurt and use it to uplift and unlock and free other people. But it's a difficult task because we're not necessarily apt to being social. We're not. That's not how we seek out. We just don't seek out interactions like that, and so it's a little difficult. But I really do believe that we can be more powerful and more influential in other people's lives who are going through this exact same stuff that we're going through, if we can learn to use our voice and to get ourselves out of those mentally challenging places. So I wanted to give you some ideas on how to actually do some of those things, and how to actually repair those parts of you. Now, there's a saying that goes, "You're perfect just as you are." And to an extent, I believe that, and to an extent, I don't. So yes, you're perfect as you are. You're not wrong in the sense that you're not doing something that's not normal for a human being to go through. If you're going through social anxiety and avoidant personality, people have gone through this before. People will go through this again. You're going through it now. I believe that we can come out of those things, and in that sense, we are broken, and if we would like to repair ourselves, we can do that. A lot of the times people go through self-medication with drugs and alcohol. I won't lie, I do that. I don't drink as often. I actually prefer weed. But getting off of is a pain in the butt. I just went through it the other day, where I'm kind of like withdrawing, and I don't think it's a super bad withdrawal. I think it's more like the dopamine doesn't release chemically with a chemical stimulant, and so you have to let your body kind of get back to that homeostasis and release the dopamine and those feel-good chemicals on its own. And it takes a while for your body to get kicked back into gear. So, maybe a little while before that's in full effect. But I feel a lot better now. It's been a few days, and so not recommended. Chemical dependence and chemical. Yeah, don't do it. I'm not saying don't smoke or don't drink. I'm just saying don't do it to get out of rough places. Because I wouldn't want to see you become dependent on that. So how do you repair the parts of you that need healing when you do have avoidant personality and when you are socially anxious and you're dealing with that? Well, here's what I've done. And again, not advice, just my perspective. If you need professional help, please get professional help. Seek out professional help if you'd like that. So one of the biggest things is learning to separate other people's views of us from our own view of ourselves. Now, if when I didn't have a good view of myself, I had to make raising my self-esteem a priority. I am important. I'm worth it. I deserve to feel good, and you do too. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You owe it to yourself to do the work necessary to feel good about yourself. It's not easy. A lot of the times people's criticisms and their words and the stuff that they say that intentionally puts us down or unintentionally is typically usually a reflection of their inner state versus ours. Not everybody has a picture. In fact, I'd argue that nobody has a picture of what's going on in your head better than you do. And it's even if we try to vocalize it and get someone else to understand, the best they can do is understand it from their lens. They can't understand it from our lens. They can get 99% there, but they cannot get 100% there. And we have to be okay with not being 100% understood by somebody else, because that other 1% leaves a lot of room for creativity in how we approach life, how we approach problems, our unique perspective. And that 1% is super important. The way that I separated other people's opinions of me versus my own opinion of me is by forming better habits and taking care of myself and doing the things and setting up myself for success and doing the things, again, habits that led me on to be the person that I want to be. So this is huge because we undervalue the importance of exercise and diet, eating right. A lot of the chemicals that are released in drug dependence and drug use, we can get that from exercise and we can get that from eating better. If we're sitting in front of the TV, eating potato chips, not getting much physical exercise, we're going to be fat, lazy, and stupid. Video games, I love video games. Dr. Mario, what? But it's important that we do the things and we take care of we're a body. Like we're a mind, we're a body, we're all these things. We have to take care of what we have. And eating right and exercising, super important for that. So I would encourage you, even if you just go around the block for a walk, it's hard because it's debilitating. People might see you. I get it. Luckily for me, I'm able to walk to the lake. It takes me about 30 minutes to get to Lake Michigan. It takes me about 30 minutes again to get back home. Those mornings when I do get up and go walking, it's big. It allows me to clear my mind, get a better perspective on the day, and get chemicals rushing up to my brain that I wouldn't necessarily have if I just sat and waited in bed for another 2 hours. Yeah, sleep's important too. If you're not getting adequate sleep, if I don't get at least 6, I'm toast for the next day. 7 and 8 is optimal. I feel refreshed and a lot better, and I know you will too. So get rest, get exercise, and breathe in the fresh air. It's a huge thing, and those 2 habits alone, exercise and eating right, are going to set you up for success down the road and making you feel better about yourself and improving your self-image. At least they have for me. You also, and this is kind of contradictory because we're dealing with not being social, but we need to socialize. And I think the best way to socialize with people, especially if we don't have a very high opinion of ourselves and we're not comfortable around other people, is to make other people feel comfortable. I'm not saying that we should let people walk over us. We've been through that. We've done that. We don't need people to walk over us. But the best way to be a supportive person and to get that support for ourselves is to be supportive. Use encouraging language. Lift other people up. and be genuine about it. Form those social connections and those social bonds first by being the person that you want to be for you. If we want to be encouraged, I think we have to be encouraging first. If we want to be interesting to other people, then we have to be interested first. Take the responsibility to be an encouragement, lift other people up, and be that light, to use kind of a spiritual term, be the light for other people. And then therefore, you're kind of telling people, this is how I'm treating you. I would like to be treated the same way. Think about that. How would you like to be treated? How would you like other people to treat you? Be that person. Kind of be the person that you need, or the person that you needed when you had gone through and got those emotional triggers. It's not going to always work out because people have their own minds and their own agendas. So some people are going to treat you poorly regardless of what you do. But if you start to treat people how you would like to be treated, then you'll start to attract the people that are right for you in your life. And so it takes some risk. It's scary because the unknown is always scary. We don't know how things are going to turn out, and that's kind of the crux and the beauty of social interactions and life in general. We don't know how anything's going to turn out. We can conceive in our mind how things might turn out, and that's where our anxiety comes from. We can conceive how things have turned out in the past and project that onto the future. It's not always going to be that way. The unknown is a beautiful thing. It's scary because it's dark, but it's beautiful because it's light. It's such a... You could form the most beautiful relationships if you decide to put yourself out there and be vulnerable once in a while, versus staying stuck in the same place and keeping that same routine and same thought patterns and life patterns over and over. So I would encourage you to make it a priority to improve your self-esteem, get more exercise, eat healthier, and also make it a point to then socialize and kind of be the change that you want to see. Be the person that you needed at a certain stage in your life to other people, because frankly, people need you to do that because they're not getting it either. People are dealing with this. You're not the only one. I'm not the only one who's dealing with avoidant personality and social anxiety, social phobia. I'm not the only person with triggers. Everybody's got triggers. I'd argue that everybody has triggers. And it's important that we kind of be a force for good as often and as much as we possibly can. So if you are struggling with triggers and getting better habits and making it a point to deal with those triggers and build up your self-esteem, and you need somebody to reach out to, hit me up in the comments below. I know that might be kind of difficult. But if you go ahead and you do that in the comments, I'm going to respond to most of the comments as I can. So please leave that below. And then I have a question for you. What's a trigger that you're working on, or that you have worked on, or that you've overcome? And how did you overcome that trigger? How did you get to a point where the thing was no longer triggering for you? I hope this helps. Keep in mind that not everybody's perspective of you is accurate and correct. And there are things that you can do to improve your own view of yourself and to mitigate those triggers. A lot of it has to do with internal work and self-esteem. And again, I'm here for you. I'm walking this journey with you. And I appreciate you being here for me as well. So thanks again, guys. It's the socially awkward cub. Almost had a perfect video. We'll talk soon. Thanks again.